Mr. Speaker, I have an amendment at the desk. It's designated amendment number 95.
Gentleman from South Carolina.
Mr. Chair, I reserve a point of order against the amendment.
Point of order is reserved. Clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 95, printed in the congressional record, offered by Mr. Pallone of New Jersey.
The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield myself such time as I may consume. I rise to offer an amendment which would add the text of my Buy Low and Sell High Act, which I reintroduced last week, along with my colleagues Representatives Craig, Crow, Custer, Spanberger, and Trone. And Mr. Chairman, we heard quite a bit earlier today, as well as yesterday, on how problematic the underlying bill before us is, how it does not represent a serious attempt to tackle the challenges and opportunities that come with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, to make sure it can be put to work for all Americans while helping fuel our transition to a 21st century clean energy economy. Now, unlike my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, even when Democrats are in the minority, we do not become a party of no. We stand ready to work on ideas that will seriously improve this country and to propose our substantive ideas to improve bills brought before the House. And that is what I'm doing today with this amendment. The Buy Low and Sell High Act is a serious bill that takes the Strategic Petroleum Reserve seriously. It doesn't use it as a political football, but instead regards it as a valuable tool to our arsenal of energy security. The amendment would create an economic petroleum reserve within this reserve that would be specifically to sell crude oil when prices are high and buy crude oil when prices are low. Some of the profits for that would then be reinvested into the American economy, accelerating the electrification revolution that everyone from President Biden to the CEO of every automaker can tell us is happening, not in the future, but right now. It would also create a network of regional product reserves so we can have a full national network of crude and petroleum products. The Colonial Pipeline hack nearly 2 years ago was illustrative of the need for regional product reserves. Crude by itself doesn't do us any good without refining capacity and the infrastructure to take it across the country. Regional product reserves can fight local shortages immediately. So my amendment also includes Ms. Houlihan's important bill, which goes further than our Republican chamber did 2 weeks ago in preventing barrels from our strategic reserves from not just going to China, but also not going to Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Unlike our colleagues, Mr. Chairman, Democrats are not soft on Russia. We're not soft on Iran. We're not soft on North Korea. And finally, the bill would build on the work in the fiscal year 2023 omnibus bill that this chamber passed last month to give the Department of Energy further flexibility with congressionally mandated sales from the reserve and required the Department of Energy time those sales to maximize revenue back to the American taxpayer. Now, these are all common sense ideas. They should be bipartisan ideas. They're certainly more serious than the bill before us today. And so, unfortunately, it seems that Republicans aren't willing to engage in a serious endeavor like this. They're not willing to hear our dissenting views on this. But in any case, I would ask that this amendment be adopted so we can take a serious look at what needs to be done to address the energy crisis. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. For what purpose, the gentleman from South Carolina seek recognition?
Mr. Chair, I insist on the point of order.
The gentleman will state his point of order.
The amendment violates Clause 7 of Rule 16 of the Rules of the House because it's not germane to the underlying bill. It fails the test for subject matter and fundamental purpose. The amendment opens up new statutes and topics. Specifically, the amendment would amend Section 3009 of America's Water Infrastructure Act of 2018, page 27, line 8, for reference. That statute is not amended by H.R. 21, not even discussed. The amendment would create a new regime of government supply and price controls not at all contemplated in this bill's simple leasing plan. It's totally different in subject matter, totally different in purpose, totally different in the end game. For that purpose, the amendment's not germane. And I would also note that this amendment has been determined to have an impact on direct spending, although CBO has not yet determined the magnitude. So I say the amendment's not germane in so many ways and look forward to the ruling. Yield
Does
back.
any member seek to address the point of order? Gentleman from New Jersey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The amendment meets the germaneness requirement of Rule 16, Clause 7. The amendment is germane because the amendment does not introduce a new subject to the text proposed to be amended. The subject of the introduced bill is applying certain requirements to drawdowns from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The subject of the amendment also applies certain requirements to drawdowns. But again, Mr. Chairman, I have to stress that the reason that this amendment is germane is because we are trying on the Democratic side to seriously address the energy crisis and the energy future of this country. The Republicans are not doing that. They're simply using political points and trying to prevent the use of the reserve to actually help reduce the cost of gasoline at the pump. But with that, I will yield back.
The gentleman yields back. Does any other member wish to be heard on the point of order? Seeing none, the chair is prepared to rule. The gentleman from South Carolina makes a point of order that the amendment offered by the gentleman from New Jersey is not germane. The bill prohibits the drawdown of petroleum products in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve until the Secretary of Energy has developed a plan to increase the percentage of certain federal lands leased for oil and gas production. The amendment addresses sundry additional subject matters, including the Home Heating Oil Reserve, state energy transportation plans, and assistance for Western Hemisphere refineries. The chair finds that the amendment goes beyond the subject matter of the underlying bill. It is therefore not germane. The point of order is sustained.